Jimmy Haslam thinks the fans are just being ungrateful. Yep, the owner of the Cleveland Browns is reportedly upset that locals aren't 100% locked in on the team right now. If you just spit out your coffee, you're not alone. Because in the middle of empty seats, flat lines in viewership, and a social media revolt that's gaining steam every single day, Haslam's entire franchise is on fire. And somehow, he still doesn't understand why. Let's break it down for him. Shedeur Sanders isn't playing. The most electrifying, charismatic, fan-drawing rookie quarterback the Browns have had in a generation, maybe ever, is currently listed as inactive. Not a backup, inactive. As in, standing on the sidelines holding a tablet like he's an unpaid intern. And that's not just a weird decision. That's a franchise-level PR disaster. Local broadcasters are saying ticket sales are sliding. Fans are showing up late. Some aren't showing up at all. One analyst literally compared the stadium crowd to sad seats wrapped in brown tarp. Meanwhile, hot dogs are still $12, and Shedeur still wearing a headset, watching Dillon Gabriel get first-team reps like this is some kind of simulation glitch. So yeah, Jimmy, the fans aren't 100% locked in, because the one player who could actually make the team worth watching is being hidden like a tax fraud document. Every week, the Browns get weirder. Every week, the excuses get dumber. And every week, the fan base gets louder. Because what's happening right now doesn't feel like football management. It doesn't feel like development. It feels like sabotage. The Browns are sitting on a rookie with NFL blood, national buzz, and the kind of name that prints money. And their big decision? Bury him behind quarterbacks who couldn't outplay cable news anchors. Something's not adding up. And what happens next might finally break the fan base for good. At this point, even conspiracy theorists are running out of creativity. Because the Cleveland Browns aren't just keeping Shedeur Sanders on the bench, they're keeping him out of practice. We're not talking about missing first-team reps. We're talking no team reps, not even scout team reps. Nothing. Zilch. Shedeur is reportedly being seen on the sidelines, fully suited, locked in, helmet on, and still not even allowed to run against the defense. Let that sink in. The Browns spent a draft pick on this guy. They signed him to a 4-year contract. They answered media questions with vague promises about development and timing. And then, he disappeared. Not because of injury, not because of attitude, not because of performance. He's vanished because no one upstairs wants him to succeed. Remember, this is the same player who dominated in college, the same player whose name alone brought millions of new eyes to every game, the same player with a larger social media reach than half the offensive line combined. And yet, here he is, holding a clipboard while Bailey Zappi runs the scout team like he's prepping for a high school playoff game. Make it make sense. Even if you didn't plan to start Shedeur in week 1, why wouldn't you be stacking development opportunities for a guy with this much upside? Why wouldn't you at least get him reps with the twos? Why would you draft a star, only to act like you're allergic to attention? Because here's what fans see: raw, obvious talent being deliberately sidelined, and they're over it. You walk into that stadium and people aren't just whispering, "When will Shedeur play?" anymore. Now they're yelling it. The Browns have managed to do something impressive. They made their own fan base question whether potential even matters in Cleveland. He's standing right there, waiting, working, ready, and somehow still invisible. This isn't just incompetence. It's professional gaslighting, and the fans know it. Let's get one thing straight. Shedeur Sanders is not a normal rookie. He's not some anonymous day 3 flyer from a mid-tier school hoping to earn his stripes on special teams. He's a walking brand, a quarterback with real game tape, charisma, and maybe the most recognizable last name in football. And the Browns? They've got this guy holding a clipboard like it's his full-time job, not mentoring under a Hall of Famer, not getting elite training off the field, just parked behind a wall of backups, while lesser knowns like Dylan Gabriel and Bailey Zappi run the show in practice. Seriously? You don't have to be a marketing genius to understand that this looks insane. Let's talk optics. Shadur leads college football in social media engagement. His name sells more jerseys than most of Cleveland's starters combined. Media outlets hype his every move, even when he doesn't play. Casual fans literally tune into Cleveland Browns games just to see if he breathes on the sideline. That is franchise value, and the Browns are tossing it in the football equivalent of a storage unit. It's not even about what Sandy can do on Sundays, yet. It's about what he represents: relevance. Every losing team in the NFL is desperate for a spark, a fresh face, something that gives fans hope beyond maybe next year. And Cleveland? They already have that player. They're just acting like they don't know what to do with him. You would think after 20 years of QB disasters, they'd understand what potential looks like when it walks through the door. But no. Instead, they've got their most marketable asset standing on the sideline, wearing a headset while ticket buyers walk out by halftime. If Shedeur was a stock, the fans would be all in. But the front office? Pretending he's a bad investment. And every week that passes is just building resentment, not just at Kevin Stefanski, but at the entire Browns brand. The longer they sideline him, the more it stops looking like coaching and starts looking like intentional neglect. If there's anything Cleveland does better than crushing hope, it's mismanaging quarterbacks. From Tim Couch to Johnny Manziel, from Colt McCoy to Baker Mayfield. The Browns' QB carousel has spun so many times it deserves its own separate documentary series. It's been years of overhyped picks, ruined potential, and head coaches trying to justify systems that haven't worked since fax machines were relevant. And now, enter Shedeur Sanders. Young, talented, flashy, sure, but focused, strategic, coachable. The kind of quarterback that finally feels different. The kind the fans have begged for since 1999. Someone who brings the skills and the energy needed to wake this franchise up from its 2-decade nap. So what does Cleveland do? They stick him on the shelf right next to 30 years of blown opportunities. Honestly, it's impressive how consistent they are at ruining promising QBs before they even start. What's so frustrating, and let's be clear, this isn't just from analysts or fans. This sentiment is coming from inside the locker room. Teammates, assistants, staffers, all whispering the same 5 words. Why isn't Shedeur playing yet? We've seen this script before. The organization drafts someone exciting, then buries him in the name of developing the system, only to watch him walk out the door, succeed elsewhere, and leave fans wondering what could have been. Shedeur Sanders wasn't supposed to be the next what if. He's not some reckless scrambler or a diva looking for attention. He's put in the work. He's handled the benching with maturity. All he needs is a chance. But Cleveland's front office? They've got him adjusting headsets while the fan base stares at the sky, asking, how is this still happening? They've taken a player who could become a foundational piece and are now a few weeks away from turning him into a legend of failure he doesn't deserve to be part of, or fans. And the fans? They're done hoping. They've seen this movie before, and they already know how it ends. Unless the Browns flip the script soon, Shedeur's gonna become just another name on Cleveland's quarterback graveyard. Here's the thing. Everyone knows Shedeur Sanders can play. That's not the issue. The coaches know it, the fans know it, even the media heads who've never spent a day in Cleveland know it just by watching his pocket presence and footwork clips on Instagram. So if it's not about talent, what is it? Simple. They're scared. Not scared of Shedeur failing, scared of him succeeding. Because if Shedeur lights it up on Sundays, it forces the people running the show to admit what they're afraid to say out loud. Their beloved system isn't working. And that's a threat to Kevin Stefanski, who's married to a playbook that hasn't evolved in 5 years. This is the same guy who'd rather lose a close game his way than win scrappy with a quarterback freelancing. You give a dynamic talent like Shadur the chance to play backyard football with real weapons, suddenly the system is irrelevant. Stefanski would rather control the flow and lose than adapt and win, because control is everything to him. And then there's Jimmy Haslam, the businessman, the brand guy, the keep things safe and sponsor-approved type of owner who runs the team like it's a gas station loyalty program. He doesn't want Shadur pulling focus, rocking the boat, or becoming too big to manage. Because Shadur isn't just a quarterback. He's a walking brand, a camera magnet, a headline machine, and every throw he makes is another chance the front office loses control of the narrative. So what do you do when you're scared of energy you can't contain? You bury it. Empty seats, vanilla press conferences, a quarterback listed as inactive when half the stadium showed up just to see if he'd play. If this was any other top-tier rookie, he'd be trending weekly. Shedeur is top 5 in NFL rookie jersey sales. His game day warm-up videos get more retweets than most quarterbacks' full highlight reels. National sponsors want him mic'd up. Fans want him front and center. But the Browns? They'd rather lose those fans than pivot. They talk about development, while Bailey Zappi and Dylan Gabriel throw 15-yard ducks against first-team defenses. They act like playing Shadur too early is dangerous, like they haven't trotted out unprepared QBs every 2 years for 2 decades. This isn't caution. This is control issues disguised as coaching philosophy. Jimmy Haslam could walk downstairs right now and greenlight Shedur's start. Instead, fuse up in the owner's box, watching half-full sections and wondering why the stadium's gone quiet. You know why? Because the people have spoken. Loudly and clearly. If Shadur isn't playing, we're not watching. That's not rebellion. That's reality. Every time Cleveland kicks off without number 5 under center, they're not just making a football decision. They're turning on the very people whose money keeps the lights on. And eventually, it doesn't matter if Shadur wins games. Because the Browns are already losing their fans, and they're doing it on purpose, you won't see it on the sideline, you won't catch it in a post-game soundbite, but if you walk into the Browns locker room right now, you'll feel it. The tension, the distance, the unspoken divide. Because while the coaching staff pretends everything's fine, that room is fractured. Veterans, particularly linemen and role players, are sticking with Stefanski. Not because they believe in the game plan, but because it's familiar, predictable, safe. Most of them have been burned before, and they've got contracts to protect. They're thinking, don't mess with the system, even if it's sinking. Younger guys, though, they're not buying it. They feel the energy. They hear the fans. They see the momentum being wasted. They've practiced with Shadur. They've watched him thread needles in drills. They've stayed after for film breakdowns with him. They know what's being stashed on the sideline, and more of them are starting to ask, if he's that good, why won't they just let him play? Nobody says it directly. That'd blow everything up. So what do they do instead? Reps start looking different. Whispers between drills replace huddle conversations. Position groups start keeping to themselves. Receivers gravitate toward Shadur during warm-ups. Backups hang closer to Gabriel. The energy isn't loud, it's strategic. Survival mode. Pick a side, or at least don't stand on the wrong one. Veterans grit their teeth. Rookies hold their breath. And no one trusts anyone. Meetings are colder. Eye contact is rare. And every incomplete pass in practice feels like proof, depending on who you're backing. Shadur himself doesn't stoke it. He's quiet, focused, daps everyone, looks people in the eye. That's what makes it worse for the coaching staff. People actually like him, not just as a quarterback, as a person, as a leader. And that means support for him is growing, even if no one says it out loud yet. The Browns don't just have a quarterback controversy. They've got a locker room on emotional lockdown, waiting to explode. At some point, you have to stop asking, why isn't Shadur playing? and start asking the bigger question. How is this still happening in 2024 in Cleveland again? After 2 decades of QB disasters, cultural resets, and endless promises of change, you'd think the Browns would finally do something bold, something that actually matches the moment. But nope, we're right back where we started. With a head coach frozen by fear and an owner scared of headlines that aren't sanitized for boardrooms. This isn't just bad football management, it's organizational paralysis. Kevin Stefanski still acts like he's coaching a 2003 team that wins games 13-10 and punts on 4th and 2 from midfield because analytics. His system is airtight, safe, and completely outdated for today's NFL. You want proof? The guy has a generational talent sitting behind glass. And he's more worried about keeping the play-action footwork tight than unleashing a quarterback who actually inspires the building. Then there's Jimmy Haslam. On paper, the man is a billionaire businessman. He should understand value, growth, brand momentum. But somehow, the most commercially valuable rookie on the roster is also the most restricted. Why? Because letting Shedeur play means letting go of control. And this franchise, from top to bottom, is addicted to predictability, even if it means watching the season burn to ash. They claim it's about development. Translation? Delay until you can't anymore. They say it's about protecting Shedeur. Translation? Protecting themselves in case they were wrong about him. But the only thing they're protecting now is Cleveland's reputation as the place where quarterbacks go to die. And fans? They see it. They've seen it before. Only this time it's louder, brighter, hotter. Because this time, the player isn't just good. He's marketable, mature, magnetic. He's the most obvious answer this team has had in years. And somehow, the Browns are still choosing silence over a spark. How is this still happening? Only the Browns could turn a solution into a crisis this predictably. Remember when Browns fans used to cling to optimism? Those days are gone. This isn't quiet frustration. This isn't polite disagreement. This is revolt. The Browns didn't just bench a quarterback, they benched the only reason half the fan base even cared this year. And now, those fans are speaking with their wallets, their tweets, and their absence. Let's talk numbers. Ticket resales are tanking. Concession revenue is shrinking. Viewership is dropping. Not just during blowouts, but during close games. And social media? It's a firestorm. Just scroll through the mentions the next time the Browns post a highlight from anyone not named Shadur Sanders. It's not support. It's sarcasm, screenshots, and hashtags demanding change. Hashtags like hashtag play Shadur now, hashtag free Shadur, hashtag fire everyone. They're not memes anymore. They're marching orders. There are fans literally saying they won't support the team financially until Shadur sees the field. One fan even posted a ticket refund receipt with the caption, "No QB1, no row 1." They've tried patience. They've tried trust the plan. Now they're trying public sabotage. You think NFL teams don't listen to fan outrage? When sponsors start pulling back and season ticket sales start freezing, ownership starts sweating. And right now, Jimmy Haslam's business-first empire is starting to crack under pressure. Because let's be clear, this isn't about wins anymore. Fans aren't asking for a playoff run. They're asking for effort, hope, fire, something that doesn't feel like a rerun from 2013. And every week Shadur sits, his image grows larger. Not because of hype, but because the other options look worse every time they hit the field. The people want a new story. They're tired of reruns, and they're watching closely. The Browns aren't at risk of losing games. They're at risk of losing everyone, and when fans stop shouting and start checking out, that's when a franchise really hits rock bottom. Here's what's wild. For the first time in years, maybe decades, the Cleveland Browns were handed exactly what they had endlessly begged the football gods for. A young quarterback, polished, poised, marketable, a leader, a playmaker, a real shot at flipping the franchise. And what did they do? They benched him. They buried him on the depth chart. They threw him behind clipboard commanders and scout team stand-ins. Classic Browns. Fans weren't asking for a miracle. They weren't demanding a Super Bowl overnight. All they wanted was a spark. A reason to believe this year would be different. A quarterback who didn't look lost in the pocket or afraid of the moment. They wanted someone worth rooting for. And here comes Shedeur Sanders, a college sensation with NFL readiness, media presence, and the quiet confidence that Cleveland has always claimed it loves. He's respectful, coachable. He's playing the long game. And somehow, that's the guy they decided was too risky. This is the same franchise that gave chance after chance to Johnny Manziel, willingly rolled with Cody Kessler, and pretended Brandon Weeden was a long-term solution. But now they have Shedeur Sanders, a talent with a ceiling the league hasn't even seen yet. And they're acting like QB1 is supposed to be a loyalty program you wait 4 years to unlock. Let's be honest. If any other team had drafted Shedeur, the marketing rollout would have been historic. ESPN specials, mic'd-up practice days, feature profiles. But Cleveland? They slapped a headset on him and acted like he ordered DoorDash to the wrong building. This isn't just mismanagement, it's organizational self-sabotage. And the longer they let it play out, the bigger the question becomes. Have the Browns been cursed this whole time? Or are they just afraid of finally becoming the team they always claimed they wanted to be? Either way, the joke's starting to write itself. And fans know the punchline is coming, unless something changes fast. Some teams lose because of talent. Some lose because of injuries. The Cleveland Browns? They lose because they're terrified of change. They finally drafted a quarterback who checks every box. Smart, talented, level-headed, loved by players and fans, marketable across every platform. And what's been Cleveland's response? Silence, excuses, inactivity. Shedeur Sanders isn't just the best quarterback prospect the team has seen in years. He's the most valuable brand asset the Browns have had since Myles Garrett helmet-slapped his way into history. And yet here we are, watching him hold a clipboard while the season spirals and fans start checking out. Not because they've given up on the Browns, but because they've realized the Browns have given up on them. The scary part? This isn't unfixable. All it takes is one decision, one honest pivot toward the obvious truth. Shedeur needs to start now. Every week that goes by, the situation gets worse. The locker room fractures deeper. The media heat intensifies. Fans grow colder by the snap. And the worst part? If they finally unleash Shedeur too late, the move won't spark hope. It'll only confirm what fans already believe. The Browns didn't see his value. They were just forced into it by public pressure. But if they act now, if they hand Shedeur the ball, stop protecting outdated systems, and embrace the fire they've been so afraid to play with, they might not just save a season. They might save the franchise's future. Because this isn't just a quarterback controversy. This is a test of whether Cleveland wants to keep being Cleveland or finally evolve. And unless something changes, they're not just going to lose with Shedeur Sanders. They're going to lose him.